PM Express is brought to you by
Guarantee Trust Bank. Wouldn't you rather bank with us?
Hello and welcome. And the big question is to debate or not to debate. And if you've been in Ghana, then in the last 3 days, I'm sure somewhere in the newspapers or on the radio or TV somewhere, you've heard the issue about the debating candidates. Well, the IEA is an institution that, over the years, create a platform for presidential candidates to come and debate and tell us exactly what it is they have for us once power is handed over. Now this year somehow they decided, well, we're going to do two big political parties, which you and I know, it's MPP and NDC. However, in the books of the electoral register, they have between 23 to 25 parties, some with candidates, some not, but clearly we have more than the two. Now, this has caused an absolute uproar, with some of the parties and some of the candidates or some of the parties saying, why aren't we allowed to come? Indeed, Mr. Ndum says, all laws be lost. Whether I lost by 5 or whether I lost by 5 million, I lost. But I'm still a presidential candidate and I'm still entitled to the debate. We want to find out what it is that formed the decision that let's limit it to 2. Why not 5 or 4? I mean, there are still some credible people out there. But then there's a bigger picture that maybe we might be missing. And that's what everyone said in the previous debates. Should we be going there and looking through it and finding out if they indeed have done what they did? I don't know. My name is Nana Nsakwa the Fourth, Akwamwadu Masahene, and your host. When I come back, I will introduce my guest and to debate or not to debate. Well, thank you very much for staying. And to debate or not to debate with me in the studio is Dr. Michael Ofori-Mensah, who's a Senior Research Fellow at Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA. Doc, you're welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Doc, let's start by what brought about this debate thing, this debate culture? What was the idea that formed it?
Well, thank you. The debates are essentially a platform for the candidates, first of all, to outline their visions of governance and also to engage each other, that's their co-contestants, pointing out the weaknesses in their policies and programs and offering alternatives. Secondly, the debates offer a platform also for the electorate to demand accountability from the candidates. And then third, I would say the debates introduce an issues-based approach to the whole electoral campaign process. It tends to shift it from the politics of personal insults and issues that are not of substance to the real issues that affect the ordinary Ghanaian, you and I. So that's why we introduced the debates way back in 2000. And since then, I believe it's made an impact by educating voters on the different policies and programs of the different candidates. And we started off with just one presidential debate in 2000. And then we organized another one in 2004. By 2008, we then added the vice presidential debate and then decided to have 2 presidential debates then. We held one in Accra and the other one in Tamale in order to also engage, the broad spectrum of Ghanaians in this whole, accountability process. And I believe that it served us well. And so that's why, the debate culture has been introduced into the Ghanaian political scene.
Is it for the elite?
It's not. You'll be surprised to know that when we talk about the electorate, it comprises ordinary Ghanaians. And so the evening encounters, for instance, which is another initiative we introduced in 2008, brings on board key stakeholders. It could be representatives of farmers, representatives of market women, a representative of the Ghana Bar Association or the Ghana Medical Association. They all bring their representatives who ask direct questions to the individual candidates on these platforms. And that's why I believe it's not an elitist platform. It's a platform that serves to represent all Ghanaians.
If they were out campaigning, their posture and their language and their information, it's not as detailed as when they come onto your platform.
That's correct.
Maybe it's an unfair question for you, but I mean, how do we get them to behave on your platform as they do, so that they do the same outside?
Well, that is essentially why we introduced the presidential debate here, because if candidates go onto their own campaign platforms, you don't really hear them talking about issues of substance. You know, they talk to people who go to their rallies, are party faithful. So why should they demand accountability from them? They just tell them, you know, what they want to hear. They make promises. And, you know, some of these promises are not costed. Some of these promises are also just very vague. Whereas when you come onto the debate platform, if you outline a vision that is not feasible, you will be asked a follow-up question. And you'd be forced to provide how you translate that vision into reality. And this is why it's essential. Now, it's of course, may I say, perhaps human for some people to be quite jittery about, you know, appearing on such a platform. But if you are demanding a mandate, the ordinary Ghanaian's mandate, then you should be prepared to subject yourself to scrutiny. And that's why I think it's important that we continue to champion such a platform for anyone who wants to lead this country.
So then the big question comes up. I mean, but are these ones for sale or?
Well, no. It's all part of the accountability process. It's available for free, and to even make it more accessible, they are available on the IEA's website, which is www.ieagh.org. And these are all available for you and I to read and to basically scrutinize the different policy positions that were outlined.
So you basically, I mean, these are transcripts of what everyone said at the IEA, and I think as journalists, we should be very, very concerned, very, very concerned. But I must shamefully admit that I wasn't aware that this was available.
Well, Nana, may I just say one thing here? When we launched this series of activities for 2016, we did discuss a range of issues. We also made your colleague journalists aware that the transcripts were available. We have 6 publications covering 2012. That's the 4 evening encounters transcripts, and then 1 publication covering both the presidential debate in Tamale and the presidential debate in Accra. And then another separate publication covering the the vice presidential debate in Takoradi. We asked them, please, subject these documents to scrutiny. Make the public aware of it. Unfortunately, the whole narrative since Tuesday has been on consultation or not consultation. And I believe, you know, as an emerging democracy, we have to start focusing on issues of substance. You know, the ordinary Ghanaian is not really concerned about whether, you know, parties were consulted or not consulted. They care about the bread and butter issues. You know, how they are going to put food on the table, how their children are going to get better education, affordable healthcare. These are the issues that matter. And that's why, you know, your colleagues and the media as a whole are part of this whole process, and they need to champion the real issues that matter to us.
Let me just, I just flipped one. This is for John Dramani Mahama. Just reading a little excerpt. It says, that is exactly my point. I mean, he was answering, being the moderator. This one says, being the moderator, I will seize the opportunity to ask the first question. I know that you have spoken about education, but your main opponent has made free education his mantra, and he has also said that he will terminate basic education as SHS. I heard you say that you are prepared to debate him on education. Oh, he has always been prepared to debate him on education. I heard you say that you're prepared to debate him on education. How different is your approach to basic and secondary education from that of your main opponent, the MPP candidate? So this is John Dramani Mahama. This is exactly this is exactly the point I was making. Our vision for education is in our constitution, and so our work is cut out for us. As president, you must comply with the constitution. Within 10 years, basic education must be free, compulsory, and universal. That is a given. And so we all must work to achieve that. Senior high school must be made progressively free and accessible on equal and equitable balance. And so that is the vision for this country. It's not a single person's vision. Nobody should attempt to steal the vision of the constitution drafters. And it reads on. I think it makes a very interesting read.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm sure if you scrutinize it, there may be things. But on the subject of, after we read it, we tend not to like to account. I mean, if I'm an NDC person, then I don't want to hold the president to account. And if I'm an MPP person, then I don't want to hold Nanado to account. How do we do, after we've given us all this, how do we make use of that?
Well, Nana, I think that's your job. It's for all of us, irrespective of our political affiliations, to realize that Ghana belongs to, all of us. Mm-hmm. And if we continue with this culture of just, making promises and not holding our leaders to account, and even just also trying to scrutinize again the different visions or policies or programs, whatever you choose to call them, whether they even stand up to scrutiny. Are they feasible? Can they be really translated into reality? These are the kinds of issues that I think we should be looking at. And it's for you as journalists to be able to champion and explain to the general public what these, it's not every one of us who would read, some of these publications. Of course, they've not been translated into the different Ghanaian languages. So it will be very, very key for journalists to take these documents, not just the one of the president, but of all the different candidates, and explain it. Whether, some are visionary, some stand up, to scrutiny, and explain to the general public. Of course, we as, analysts or, researchers or academics can also chip in and provide our own opinion as to what would work and what would not work, and what, the costed policies and how much, whether we think it's feasible for, the state to afford some of these promises. And so I think it's a collective effort. We all have to put in our bit to make sure that we hold leaders or the candidates to account for some of the promises they make.
I'm going to take a break here, and then when I come back, we want to find out how come only these two are going to have the opportunity to debate each other. What happened to the rest? Oh, please forgive me. In Ghana, everything means everything. So when I come back, we'll find out why only these two have got the opportunity to debate. What happens to the rest? Don't move. Well, I think we have all missed out big time, but this is an evening encounter with Nana Akufo-Addo, and I'm just flipping through the page and then I just read it out, right? Now, this is Florence Dennis, Anti-Corruption Coalition. And I think she's asking a question. So it says, in your bid to ensure transparency and accountability, will you publicly declare your assets and liabilities before assumption and after your term of presidency, and further ensure that your appointees and public officials do same? This is Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo. That's the response. It's a good question. For myself, I don't have any problem with the public declaration of assets, but I believe the matter is a matter of law, as we have now. And I would prefer Parliament handles the matter because there are all the implications of a public statement, of a public declaration, which would be thoroughly debated and examined, and hopefully that Parliament will be able to come out with a consensus that reflects the values of our society and where we want to go. But for myself personally, I have no difficulty at all with the idea of a public declaration of my personal assets. So that wasn't a yes or a no. And so that's a question that has to be repeated. You see?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what I would add is this, that this is even more relevant now. Currently, we have a Public Officers Code of Conduct bill going through Parliament now. This is an opportune time. I don't know whether it's going to be passed before the next election, but this is an opportune time to make sure that we really make some concrete changes to it. It's gone through so many variations. The previous Public Declaration of Assets bill, Public Declaration of Assets law was a PNDC law, which required public officers to declare their assets, publicly. I mean, it was published. And if you go through the Ghana Gazette, of I think 1989, you realize that even people were publishing that they owned radio sets and all. But then came the constitutional era, when we had a new code of conduct for public officers, an act of parliament, I can't quote the precise one, which then required public officers to declare their assets and then submit it to the Auditor General, stuffed in an envelope, and nobody knows whether it's just blank sheets of paper which has been submitted in the envelope, because the Auditor General even cannot open those sealed documents until you have a case up, and then if it need be, that would be opened up. And this, this doesn't promote accountability. So these are the pertinent issues that we should be quizzing potential candidates on. Where do they stand on such policies? And it's very, very critical that we keep on debating issues of substance, issues that will solve problems, issues that would move this country forward.
But quickly, the decision to take the two major parties, briefly, and then we hear Mr. Indum's remark on it, but briefly, what was the decision to take the two major parties?
Again, I'm glad you've asked me this question, because let me just go back. When we outlined our program on Tuesday, what we said was that the IEA was going to conduct the debates as usual for the candidates with representation in Parliament. But then the IEA was also exploring the possibility of holding a debate for the two frontrunners, and at the same time was also considering holding a debate for the smaller parties, or may I say, the candidates who don't have parliamentary representation. Now, there's been a lot of misrepresentation of this. Considering, exploring, and then people, stating that the IEA has made a decision to hold a debate for the two frontrunners only. I've heard even other radio stations saying that the debates are just, strictly for those two, and we've excluded the rest. That's not the case. We are still going to go ahead with the usual criteria which we've used in 2004, 2008, and 2012, for which, strangely enough, no one ever criticized this. This is the first time the IEA has launched its election activities that has been, a huge uproar. We are still going to hold a debate for the 4 parties with representation in Parliament, the candidates of those 4 parties. That's a done deal. But we are exploring the possibility of holding a two-person debate for the front runners, and then another debate for the
backbenchers. I'm saying nothing.
Yeah, the parties, the candidates who don't have representation in Parliament. But let me come back to what informed this decision. At the end of every debate series, we go out and conduct a survey or review of what we could have done better. And the feedback that we received was that people thought we should create a platform for the independent candidates as well as those who didn't have parliamentary representation. At the same time, there was a strong body of evidence pointing to the fact that some people did actually argue that certain candidates on the platform had sort of brought the platform to disrepute. And they thought the platform would not be taken seriously. And for all intents and purposes, everyone was saying, or as we all know, there are 2 candidates who have the potential,
the bigger clout,
to take the presidency. So the argument was that, why don't you hold a debate for the front runners, and at the same time, others were saying, extend the platform to the smaller parties. We've considered this, and we said we're exploring on how to implement this. But as of now, it's clear-cut that we are continuing with the criteria which we've used always. That's for the parties with representation in Parliament, they'll have their candidates on the debate. And then there's a possibility that we'll have a 2-person debate and a debate for the, as you say, backbenchers. So I think it's a bit, I don't know whether it's mischievous or it's misrepresentation, but we need to really clarify this point.
Let's hear what Mr. Ndom is saying.
I heard over in the media that some people say they want to organize some debates, so presidential debates. And then when they are organizing debates, they say, oh, we want a debate with parties with representation in Parliament. And I keep asking, what sort of an animal is that? There is no such thing in law. There is no such thing in the political parties law of parties with representation in Parliament. And now somebody also is saying that, oh, maybe they will do a debate with John Dramani Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo. And I said, is that where we have gotten to in Ghana? We had an election in 2012. And someone came second. And to borrow some words from Nana Akufo-Addo, all laws be laws. If somebody lost by 5 million votes, someone lost by 5 votes, it's all loss. So how does that entitle somebody today for someone to say that, oh, that person should go into a debate with somebody else? Somebody is president today. But who should say for you and I that that person is doing such an excellent job that he deserves to be standing there to be part of a debate? It doesn't work. Everybody starts off with 0 votes. And you don't know who will bring the best idea in a debate, in a discussion. Or you don't know who will fire the imagination of Ghanaians for people to say today that, we may have voted NDC and NPP in the past, but today we have changed our mind. And we vote for people.
Okay, so that was Mr. Ndom, but let's hear what Mr. Adams, Kofi Adams, is also saying on behalf of the president.
You don't even give any signal. You just get out there and go and announce a program. So if the parties have their own program, how are you going to organize? How are you going to organize it?
But again, Mr. Adams, if this is a proposal they are putting out, they say they are considering it. Why not speak to them about it?
We should be the ones to go and speak to them. Who says that IEA is the one that should organize the debate for us? We are not the ones that are supposed to go and speak to them. They are a civil society group that wants to do something. They are the ones who are supposed to engage the parties Why should you go and beg IEA that organize a debate for us?
I'm not sure that's what they're saying. They're saying that they want to do this. This is their plan, and they want to do it in September. What's wrong with that, sir?
And I'm saying that your plan that you want to do, you engage the political parties. You have to engage them. You don't go and engage one side and leave the other. At least for NDC, we have not been spoken to. We have not been involved in any way. Do they know our plans? Do they know our arrangement?
But if they do, would you turn up?
If they do what?
If they do come now and start the discussions with
but
you.
They haven't come. That is what is most important. If Joy FM just a news outlet, you cannot go announcing a program when you have not engaged the parties. Even though you are a news gathering group, then a civil society group that is supposed to know better, and you think that we shouldn't raise concerns. We are a serious political party. For God's sake, we have our programs.
Okay, sir. Mr. Adams, I get your point. Is this more about the body organizing the debate or the format they're taking?
I'm talking about format. I have not mentioned the body. I have not at all. And I've just told you we have a relationship with IEA. There's a platform of chairmen, which our national chairman is a leader of that platform. There's a platform for general secretary or caucus of general secretaries, which are general secretary because if you are the governing party, that is a leader of that group. And they do other activities also, which we have been involved. We have policy analysts, and NDC have its policy analyst responsible for IEA programs. So we do have all this. We have a relationship with them. But it doesn't mean that because you do have a relationship, you want to abuse it. That must not be abused.
Okay, so in this context, will the NDC boycott the debates because of lack of consultation?
The NDC is here to meet. If they bring any proposal, we will sit and then debate it accordingly. And then the decision that the party will arrive at will be communicated to them. It's not about Kofi Adams. It's not about President Mahama. It's not about our General Secretary. It's about the party. The party will have to take that decision, what it wants to, whether it wants to take part or not. Already, it's the same NDC that in 2012 decided that even though we were a ruling party, our candidates should still take part in the debate. Otherwise, it has never happened before. The NPP did not allow their candidate when it was ruling to take part in any debate.
But would you do same this year? Would your candidates appear at the debate?
We have not decided. The candidate has indicated his clearest indications that he would want to debate anybody anytime. He wants to expose the falsity, the lies in his opponent's presentation. He has indicated that clearly. But unfortunately, it is not only about him. It's about the political party. And the party will take his decision when approached.
Okay, now many are looking at this, Mr. Adams, with a certain viewpoint, because in the past, in 2012, before President Mahama said he will go, in the past you had mentioned that you will not allow your candidate to appear at their debates. And that's why many are asking, is this a concern you have with the IEA about their operations?
We are not the first not to have taken part as a governing party. The MPP started it. President Kufuor did not take part in their debate.
Well, obviously, those who are invited and not invited all agitated. But this is a message from Kafui. He says, Nana, very good question. For me, I think if you are putting yourself, for leadership position, you need to be scrutinized. Let me take the many questions coming so that I can get it. The IEA is deepening the political polarization in our country involving MPP and NDC political traditions. This is unfair to our young democracy and a great disservice to the people of Ghana. I believe the debate involving the presidential candidate of the first four political parties based on the 2012 elections will serve Ghanaian voters better. After all, these two main parties only have the numbers but not ideas. Ghanaians are crying for a stronger third force. Leonard Ahimfo in Cape Coast. Leonard, thank you for your message. Let me grab one more. There we go. This one says, I think we are being overly critical of the IEA, and that I think it's unfair. Remember, the think tank is purely a private organization which is not funded by state. They haven't forced any political party to be part of the exercise, and I doubt the parties can dictate to them how to run their affairs. In any case, the IEA says they are still in the process of consulting the key stakeholders. So why this unwarranted bastardization? From Idi Muhayu 16. Edie, thank you for tuning in. And there's one here. This one is for Abu Sakara. I've read. It was quite interesting. So let's catch this. And this was from my own colleague, Kojo Ponkruma. He says, I have the privilege of asking the very first question. In your presentation, you talked about the CPP invested in strategically in various sectors of our economy to boost the job creation agenda and to ensure that we have growth that is backed by jobs. Are there any specifics in mind that we can look to and hold you to if indeed you become President of the Republic of Ghana? This is Dr. Abu Sakara. Thank you. I indicated quite clearly that, that graduating out of the OIC centers, we shall establish. I will be having 300 people employed a year in all the contracts that are issued for building in districts. Secondly, we shall be instituting over 300,000 acres of sugarcane, and that will bring on an additional 1.5 million jobs because each acre alone requires 6 people. Not to mention the ancillary industries associated with soya beans processing and cereal processing that would lead to further investment in the poultry industry for animal feed. That is where we will get additional jobs. So that's Abu Sakara. I just thought but I've gotten so many messages as to where you can get the book, but you can go online, go to IEA's website, and all the transcripts are there, and grab some so that when I'm being too low, you can, you can challenge me. But you can hear the apprehension in people's voice. I mean, either the IEA has become too credible, and that when you were sneezing, we're all going to catch a cold. Hey, why I don't know, there's big panic.
Well, let me just first of all take what Dr. Ndum stated. For every process that you engage in, you need guidelines, you need rules that will govern it. We've worked with these rules and guidelines in terms of the qualification criteria since 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. And coincidentally, in 2008, guess who was the CPP presidential candidate? Qualified as, qualified to be part of the debate. That was Dr. Ndum. Dr. Ndum was part of our debate, qualifying because he had, he was a candidate with representation in Parliament, from a party with representation in Parliament. And strangely enough, when he was part of this, he didn't really advocate then for us to include the smaller parties. So it's a bit strange that now that he is not, part of the process. He's calling the process, I think I read somewhere, discriminatory. I think this is a bit unfair. Even when you go to the US, for the recent Republican primary debate, I'm not talking about even the presidential debate, the primary debates, they had a criteria governing who could participate in the primary debate among the candidates who were trying to take the nominee position within a party. ABC and CBS all had their criteria governing what candidate could take part in it, because you had to garner a certain amount of vote, and they were even using polling results in order to even allow candidates, because they needed to narrow the field as to who could participate or not. So I think we need to be a bit serious as a country. We need to be serious and move away from these issues of who is going to take part or who is not going to take part. As I've laid out, we've listened to what people are saying. We are creating a platform for non-parliamentary parties also to have a voice, and we are also looking closely at whether we could actually engage the two front runners. But we've not done away with the old rules that are governing this. So I think people need to be fair in this whole process. Now, let me turn back to Kofi Adams' statement that you played out there. The IEA has always launched its election activities before writing to the parties. What we did on Tuesday was not organizing presidential debates. What we did was to just outline the activities of our election program for 2016. Now, this is what we've done. It's never happened before that In fact, the party officials even have come out to criticize us for not consulting. You don't consult, the IEA cannot consult on every program that it plans to do. We've just outlined the program. We just launched it. We've written to the parties. The process has always been, you launch the program, we write to the parties send their representatives to work with us, and we have a body that will be constituting called the Presidential Debate Committee, made up of eminent Ghanaians who work in close contact with representatives of about 2 or 3 representatives of each candidate in order to see what their flexibilities are, what time is convenient for them, perhaps the format even that the debate should take. We don't do this in isolation. We work collectively together with this. And so it's a bit strange to hear all this. The IEA did nothing wrong and nothing new. We have just been following the same processes that we followed in the past.
Does it mean that the stakes ahead are a bit too high, or the tensions are a bit too high?
I sense some jitteriness among certain groups of people. I mean, if you are vying for our votes, I believe that every candidate should let us know what their visions are, and also provide us with the opportunity to hold him accountable, and that's it. So I would really want to emphasize that we've always been flexible, we've always been accommodating when it comes to the debates and what time frames suit the different candidates. We've not announced concrete dates that we are holding the debates on. What we said was, and unfortunately the media didn't carry this as precisely as we laid it out. We said we will work closely with the presidential aspirants in order to determine the exact dates, the times, and the venues. This was not something that we are set in stone. We do respect the parties. We've always worked closely with them. So I think it's a bit disingenuous for people to misrepresent the facts that we've laid out here.
Let me go to the phone and speak to Dr. Rasford Jampo, political science lecturer, University of Ghana. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we are talking about to debate or not to debate. IEA, setting its plans or proposals, and in somewhere in the proposal saying that, look, the 2 front runners will have, head-to-head. And that has caused quite a stir. I've even heard somebody say, why don't you make it an open floor so that everybody asks their questions? I mean, Doc, what's the proper way, to have a debate, and how can everybody be satisfied?
Well, it depends on the debate organizing body. It's an independent organization, and they have their own ground rules. And I know that every year, every election year, after conducting debates, they review the activities, they do research, and they listen to people's comments and feedbacks, which are oftentimes used to shape future debates. And I know that the decision to conduct debates among the 4 parliamentary parties and to limit it eventually to 2 leading parties is coming as a result of feedbacks from research that has been conducted and all that. And if that is what is going to happen, or that is what should happen as a result of trying to get people to make input into the process, I think we should respect that. And so I don't think there is really much qualms I have with that. The only thing is that the IEA may want to engage the parties extensively on this for them to also see reason and to agree. We all must accept the fact that there would have to be some rules. And I completely disagree with those who believe that then everybody should be featured in the debate. I mean, this is not Mali where there are over 100 political parties, and we should be mindful not to create an impression as if anybody can form a mushroom political party just because you can be given opportunity to debate and all that. So it's a multi-party democracy, all right, but we should, as a nation, show seriousness. And I'm telling you, if the Electoral Commission really is going to crack the whip in implementing the political parties, act, then you would find out that so many people, so many political parties would not even be existent to be talking about the need to for them to be given a platform to debate. So basically, these are my few thoughts about the what is the planned debate.
Doc, let me be a little bit blunt. Some of the things which it's in the face, but sometimes it's not comfortable to say it in the open. I mean, Ghana is MPP and NDC, whether you like it or not. So, I mean, if you want to organize a debate and give them enough time to debate, you probably just give it to MPP and NDC because the odds are that they are the ones that are going to. It's going to be MPP or NDC unless some miracle which is yet to happen. So just give them the time to debate. I mean, they are the guys who are going to run the country.
Well, I know the debate. The IEA has a program called the Ghana Political Parties Program that brings together the leadership of the four main political parties that have representation in Parliament. And the debate, oftentimes, over the years, have been organized for the leadership of these political parties. And so that's the reason why you have the four parliamentary parties oftentimes being featured. And I'm saying that, like you are also saying, people have expressed the view that whether we like it or not, these are the leading parties. But that is not to say that they would continue to be the leading parties. I mean, there's the gradually call and clamor for other parties, third, fourth parties to also be to also emerge and all that. So rather than just saying that we should cut all off and then give it to the only two parties, I would rather also support and believe what I am doing, that give the four a chance, limit it to the two, and eventually also think about how you can bring other vibrant non-parliamentary parties in to also debate among themselves, so that they would also you also see the ideas that they may espouse, and that as to in an attempt to showcase themselves to also the public and all that. So I think the plan that has been thrown out there by the IEA is on point, and I want to support that.
The last one before I let you go. I feel maybe sometimes the frustration is that we look at somebody like Mr. Indum and clearly, he's capable, but unfortunately, he belongs to a very, very small party. And therefore, when you sideline the party, it looks as if you've sidelined him personally. I mean, could that be some of the agitations we are seeing from the smaller parties?
Well, I don't know, but you see, we often talk about people being capable and all that. Let the capabilities be reflected in votes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, you can be capable, but if you are not able to win votes, that's all. If you are capable, just win one seat in Parliament, and you'll be given, you have the opportunity to participate in debates and all that. I think in the lead up to 2012 elections, we touted the capabilities of some of these personalities, but we all saw how they fared in the 2012 elections. And so let there be some rules. You cannot, it's not an open sesame. You cannot just have everybody on board. Let there be some rules, and I think the organizing body must be respected and be given that room to have its own way in coming out with its own rules, because after all, it's an independent, NGO, and so we should respect some of the things, some of these rules that they threw out to us.
Dr. Japo, thank you very much for that insight.
A pleasure.
But viewers, let me remind you that if you are a Guaranteed Trust Bank customer, did you know that you could buy airtime from the convenience of your own home or office by using the GT top-up service, dialing the short code *737#? Guaranteed Trust Bank is rewarding customers who are yet to activate the GT top-up service from Monday 15th February to 14th May 2016. The first 20 customers who activate the service daily and buy a minimum 20 Ghana cedi airtime on any network will be rewarded with 5 cedis worth of airtime. To activate the GT top-up service, dial *737# on your mobile phone, enter your GT bank account number. You are then required to key in a 4-digit secret PIN to confirm and complete the activation process. GT top-up is the most efficient and reliable means to buy airtime for yourself, family and friends anywhere and anytime. The short code is *737#. Remember, terms and conditions apply. GT Trust Bank, wouldn't you rather bank with us? And I have many messages here. So let me take a quick break, and then when I come back, I'll try and catch up with as many as possible. Don't move. Well, thank you very much for saying that. I'm just having a field day here. Now, this is the presidential debate upholding electoral accountability, and you have all four there, and it's just amazing. And I'm thinking you definitely need to go online and hear what some of the things they said on agriculture, some of the things they said on energy, and then you go back home and check to see if it is working. What's on paper, is it on the ground? But let me catch up with your messages. I think it's not fair if I don't read your messages. In fact, Dr. Jampo has said it all. This time we need responsible presidential aspirants to debate on crucial issues. Nana, to some extent, I will buy into your argument that rejecting smaller parties is a clear rejection of their candidate. And I'm sorry for the PPP's Dr. Indum. This is Shipman in Atonsu. Let me take another one. This one says, is it about the numbers? If not, a single debate will do it all. But remember, America is not Ghana. If Ghana is NDC or MPP, is Nana NDC or MPP? I don't get your message very well. This one says, good evening, my name is Michael. I really want to know the criteria on which IEA is basing to conduct the debate. Ghana is now heading absolutely the wrong direction. Who is holding this government responsible for how things are messed up now? Today, it's up to the Ghanaians to be wise enough to choose a person who will do the correction and move the country forward. Nana is the best person for now. That's your opinion, right? Okay. Why didn't you play what the MPP said about the IEA debate? Nana Ansakwa decides to pick and choose the response of political parties on the issue. Somebody even said that, hey, Nana Ansakwa turned the the MPP. But it's okay. It's occupational hazard. I have to handle these things. Good evening, and I want to find from Dr. if it's wrong for NCCE to also organize such program for presidential parliamentary candidates. I ask this because I heard an official of the IEA saying NCCE is not an independent organization, so they can't organize such program. How true is this assertion? Richard from Nsawam. Okay, I have a little time. Let me catch up with some more messages. NDC should not blame IEA. They should admit that they have nothing. Okay, let me skip that. This one says, we are a group of people who love the nonsense. Why should a call for a debate generate a debate? Koshi Badu Aivo. I think that's a classic one. Why is a call for a debate generating a debate? I hope this year Nonado will not violently attack IEA officials as he did to Nana Jane Opoku in the 2012 debate. McLean, Ayimega, Upper East region. Your text didn't come through. You just typed a G and you sent it. This one says, please, Nana, how do I get copies of these books to buy, or is it free for my library? On the website. Go to the IEA website and you will get it. And it is www.iegh.org. www.iegh.org. And you find it there, right? Okay. So you didn't add your name, but that's where you will get it. There are a couple of messages like that, so you should get it there. Let's get this one and then I'll come to studio. The debate will go a long way to enable electors choose. He didn't come again. He said the debate will go a long way to enable electors choose a leader who is bold, incorruptible, transparent, and above all, a good team to move this country to the promised land. Maxwell from Talency. So these are, diverse views from people, but I think the best one is that how can a idea to start a debate, start a whole
That's a good
start
one.
a whole debate.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
That's a whole debate. So I mean, going forward, what would we do differently? Probably not for a debate to start a debate.
Well, I think it all depends on our commitment to just really tackle issues that affect the ordinary Ghanaian. We spent 2.5 days.
I'm sorry, I don't have the NPP's response. My production team didn't give me the NPP response. The only ones they gave me is what I played. Everything they tell me I have given you. Okay, so I don't know what the NPP. Do you have the NPP responded? Do you know?
I did read today in the Times that Nana Akomeah was also complaining that
They haven't been informed.
they were not consulted.
They will be consulted.
They were
Everybody
not,
will be consulted.
They've been consulted. They've been sent letters already. And that's the practice, as I said. We always, outline the activities and then write to the parties, which we've done, as we do in every election year. And of course, we're waiting for their response.
So there you are. So those of you who are looking for the NPP's response, a letter has gone there. Maybe it hasn't gone through the mail yet, but so we're waiting for a response. But I didn't have any video of it. That's why I didn't play. I'm sorry.
Ghanaian Times today.
You see, Ghanaian Times apparently had it. So, Doc, I caught you mid-flow there.
Yeah, I'll just go back and just say we should just start debating issues that matter to the Ghanaian people. There are fundamental challenges that we face. We have challenges in our education system. You did read an excerpt out there. What we've tended to do over the last few years was to stick to what the Constitution is saying, free education for them. But I would like to see a debate on whether we want to extend access or we are looking at quality education. I would like to also look, or hear a debate about affordable quality healthcare. You had an interesting program a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago where you had 2 doctors from Kolebu here. And what they did outline was quite scary. Our life, we place quite a small premium on life here. And they did more or less mention to you that it was a gamble. Your chances of survival if you came to A&E was just a matter of lottery. And we cannot do this. Ghana belongs to all of us, and we should make sure that its resources are put to equitable use. Again, so moving on from education and health, another issue I'd really want us to debate relates to inequality, rising inequality in Ghana. These are all fundamental issues. So far, I've not heard a single political party lay out any vision, any program, any policies on what they are going to do to tackle some of these fundamental issues. So I think we should stop, as the gentleman said,
create a debate out of
a debate that has been called. And let's start tackling the issues that matter to you and I, and which would move this country forward. And that's what I think we should start focusing on.
Dr. Michael Ofori-Mensah, Senior Research Fellow, Institute of Economic Affairs. Thank you very much. Let me acknowledge Tantiz, who makes my shirts, not my smokes, even though I have to acknowledge her, but not the smokes, but all the GTP nice shirts that I'm wearing. It's made by Tantiz, and she's on 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. Give her a call and get one for yourself. Get onto the internet and get yourself some of this. But in the next few weeks, when you hear me defending and arguing. You know that yes, Menaisi Bibi. So, but thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you at home for watching. As I said, tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you so much.
PM Express was brought to you by
Guarantee Trust Bank. Wouldn't you rather bank with us?